Hello, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. As we continue through the text of A Course in Miracles, if you've seen some of these videos before, you'll be well aware that there are themes that we return to over and over again by design, of course. And if you're brand new to these videos, if this is the first time, welcome. If this is the 500th time, again, welcome. There's a message for you today from your inner teacher, the Holy Spirit. Call it whatever you want to call it, by the way, or call it more than one thing if you prefer to refer to your inner teacher as your guides. That makes absolutely no difference. There's a message for you today. What that will be, I don't know, but I invite you to stick around because clearly, quite clearly, there's a reason why you've pushed play. So, one of the themes that we're discussing here is totality. Totality and our compulsion, our driving need to resist what is and separate. That's a theme that recurs throughout A Course in Miracles. And as adult learners, it's imperative that we hear it multiple times because the first time it may sound great in the abstract, but then we're habitually conditioned to live life as an individual self-sustaining survival unit, competing for what we deem to be really, really scarce resources on an illusory spinning ball of rock hurtling through space, which is actually not our home. All appearances to the contrary. This, not our home either. You know that, or you wouldn't be here. So these things sound really, really good on a video or when we read them in a book, but we're conditioned to think and believe and do otherwise. So what do when we go and do otherwise? So the real learning here with the Course in Miracles is in putting the ideas into practice. It's very important to read. There is no substitute for doing this course. It's very important to read the material. It's important to watch a video. But the most important thing by far is taking these ideas that are presented here and putting them into practice in your daily life. That's where the real learning takes place. I mean, think about it. Your experience, when you put these ideas into practice, your experience shows you, demonstrates to you that they're true. In other words, if you want proof, and some of you may, you effectively prove it to yourself. That's where the bulk of the learning is. So there can be absolutely no substitute for putting these ideas into practice. So it's a theme that we need to hear over and over and over again. You'll have noticed, whether you're a course student or not, that this material is lengthy. There's a lot in it. If you take nothing away from this discussion but one thing, in other words, if you take nothing else, contemplate that and accept that there is no separation of any kind. None, none, none. As we go through the text in chapter 15, you'll notice that chapter 15 devotes itself to an idea known as the holy instant. So, the holy instant is a moment where we get a glimpse of what is, where the veil, the proverbial veil, is lifted. It's totally in the present moment, and our judgment is suspended. We're not looking at the past in this instant. However long it may last, or however many of these experiences you may have. Some of you have had these before, others have not yet. When you will is actually not the important question. We're all going to get this glimpse because we're not only going to do that, we're also going to experience this holy instant eternally. In other words, we're all going to wake up. When? Who knows? It could be in the next 15 minutes. You don't know. In the event that it's not, well, then we continue our day to day, moment to moment, daily practice. In the holy instant where the veil is lifted, our judgment is suspended. See, our judgment is something that brings us down. It doesn't take too much thought to recognize how much your judging and condemning and blaming yourself and others has hurt you. It has greatly disrupted your peace of mind. That is an understatement in most cases, isn't it? So we judge everything, but let's take a moment and think about what's going on when we do that. Our point of reference when we lash out and blame somebody is the past. It is. It's past actions from somebody, or it could be the past actions of a group of people. I often refer to geopolitics as an example here because a certain person or group of people have performed certain actions in the past. We use the present moment to judge them based on those past actions. And we make the assumption when we do, because this is a separation, when we judge, we're separate from them in our mind. We're high and mighty, they're not. Judgment, right? It's based on the past and skips the present entirely, assuming that the future's going to be exactly like the past and preparing against it, prepping ourselves for the actions and the thoughts and the rhetoric of this other group of people. The other. There is no other. I mean, we're talking about what really is here, and the holy instant is getting a glimpse of what really is. So when our judgment is suspended, we're entirely in the present, and we don't have the past point of reference. Therefore, we understand nothing. It's a moment of clarity where we don't attempt to understand anything based on our past reference because the past is, in fact, gone. You'll remember, if you've done the workbook, the early workbook lessons, including lesson one. Nothing I see means anything. Yeah. Nothing I see on this street means anything. Nothing I see on this screen means anything. Yeah. And you may have wondered, what does this actually even mean? I thought this was supposed to be about miracles. I thought this was supposed to be about spirituality. Nothing I see means anything. What the actual is going on here? I'm putting this down. Yeah, I'll come back to this in a few decades or in another lifetime because this is weird. Yeah. And did you ever have that reaction? It's common enough. If you've never started the workbook, do it. Do it. I invite you to do it when you feel called to do it. I invite you to do it and see what you think of that. Here's what it means. In the holy instant, we don't truly understand anything. In that complete lack of understanding, we accept, oh, we allow truth to be just as it is. And if you've had this experience, you can never fully believe in the ego again. I do not know what anything means. I don't know what anything is for. I accept truth just as it is. In the holy instant, we are totally in the present. We see what is, and we're not making an attempt to define anything based on our past experience. We're present, fully, totally. And you come to know, and you hear repeated in this course over and over, that reality, truth is whole. It is, it's whole, it's complete. It does not have divisible component parts. Remember, there is no separation, period, of any kind. What we're doing here in the world is we're making one separation after another, and we're engaging, we're indulging ourselves really in what the Course refers to as special relationships. So, the Course in Miracles definition of special relationships is one that we need to pay attention to. We really do. We need to pay special attention to this because we engage in this all the time. Special forms of love and special forms of hatred. Now, a special love relationship is when you draw a separation and you single out a person or a group of people for your love and admiration. Could be in politics, the party you belong to, if you like them, or it could be in a relationship, in an intimate relationship or a familial relationship. There's a group of people that you single out for more love than others, right? Or there are special forms of hatred, which is the same thing. It's a singling out, a separation. This political party, the opposition party, they're horrible. Everybody else is great. Everybody else is great. My ex is horrible, for example, right? That is what we do. Special love or special hatred, it's the same thing. It's a separation and it's an attempt to parse out reality, which is indivisible, and keep certain little relationships of love and hatred to ourselves. It's attempting to slice and dice and cut up what cannot be divided and find happiness and salvation in this little part, in this one little part. Well, that's not what love is. We can't divide the totality in our mind and know what love is. It's indivisible. We know this. Do we accept it? Mm-hmm. That's the question. Yeah. So we're invited to. Love is completely indivisible. So if you applied love in a special love relationship, imagine what would happen if you, when you extend that to every single living thing without a single solitary exception, because there are none. What then? What then? It's what we're invited to do. We can't love a part of reality and know what love means. Love is total. It is, period. It's all inclusive. So, as a practical matter, we really run into a ton of resistance, don't we? Because this makes sense right here in the abstract. We would readily accept that the past is gone, yet we live our lives as though it's right here. We would readily accept that love is total, it's complete, it's whole, it's total. Yet we live our lives parsing it out and reserving love for some and not for others. So it's important what you're doing right now in taking time out of your day or your evening, your busy life to pay attention to the words of our inner teacher here. It's really, really important. We all need to do this. And the fact that you're doing it tells me quite a lot. It means not only have you heard the call of our inner teacher to awaken, but you have answered, and more than once, many more times than once, or this would never have caught your eye. So, what do we do when we encounter this stubborn resistance? Well, it's our conditioning. It's no fault of our own. It's not about blame or fault, remember. That's a judgment based on the past. There is no past. So, we cultivate our relationship with the Holy Spirit. We ask the Holy Spirit to run the show. We give everything, our entire experience, over to Him, to it, everything. With no stones unturned, all of the darkness brought to the light. Light shines away the darkness. They give him the joyful things too. Your special love relationships. If you're happily married, give your relationship over to the Holy Spirit so that it may serve the greatest good of healing the mind. That's just one example. So, as a practical matter, we all run into what you may be thinking right now, that I can't do this. Oh, but you can. Not only that, you will. Just saying. When is entirely up to you. It doesn't have to be right now, today, and it does not have to be in this lifetime. Each and every one of us is free to reject truth categorically. Even if we do, guess what? It's still true. Oh, truth is true. I know. Sounds obvious. Yes, it simply is, whether we choose to accept it or not. So the holy instant is an instant where the veil is lifted. We're accepting who, what, and where we are. We're accepting, and you know what that is, by the way. I know you know. We're accepting truth just as it is. Accept, relax, and trust. These are the themes that we find the need to return to as many times as we must. We see very clearly on the spiritual path, no matter what your practice or practices look like, we see quite clearly that the prevailing societal attitude of, that's so yesterday, I've already seen that. Give me something new. No, that attitude doesn't serve us, because it may be the 500th time that we hear the exact same idea, that boom, that light goes on and you get it. If you've had that experience, and many of you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It made all of those other 499 times that you heard the idea previously worth it, because boom, you don't know when the light is going to come on. So we discover that it's in our best interest and the best interest of every living thing that we return to these ideas again. So I appreciate your returning to these basic ideas again today. It's very, very important. So, along the way, if you have comments or questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. And this is a safe space, this comment thread on YouTube, for questions about the course, about spirituality in general. So, ask them, please, if you have them. And if you have not yet subscribed, I invite you to subscribe. Do that, please. This is the prompt here, that arrow in the corner of your screen. When you click that, you'll be invited to join us. And when you do, you'll see many videos appearing each week. Again, we just talked about why, as adult learners, we need this repetition, because it may be the 500th time that you hear the idea that God is, or that the past is gone, that it actually dawns on you. So we don't know. And for that reason, we return. So I invite you to do that. Thank you, as always, for joining me here, and I will see you on the next video.